It means the world to me to be here in Northern Kentucky. Well, it couldn't have happened without the city of Erlanger. They were completely instrumental in this support. It's such a wonderful thing for them to be able to come out and let everyone know that we are here.
Got it!
I love seeing a residential piece of property turn into a thriving business. Transitioning them into a professional office use is it's exactly what we are wanting to see all along Commonwealth.
It's wonderful. It's actually part of my business model. My other practice location is also in a home. It was a big draw for me to be able to have the support of the city of Erlanger with the grants and everything that they provide.
We're truly hopeful that they will set the example for others to follow.
It means the world to me to be here in Northern Kentucky. Well, it couldn't have happened without the city of Erlanger. They were completely instrumental in this support. It's such a wonderful thing for them to be able to come out and let everyone know that we are here.
Got it!
I love seeing a residential piece of property turn into a thriving business. Transitioning them into a professional office use is it's exactly what we are wanting to see all along Commonwealth.
It's wonderful. It's actually part of my business model. My other practice location is also in a home. It was a big draw for me to be able to have the support of the city of Erlanger with the grants and everything that they provide.
We're truly hopeful that they will set the example for others to follow.
Part of the appeal was location, location, and location. I knew that this is not a residential street. This is the gateway to Erlanger.
Letting businesses who want that traffic, letting businesses come in and take over some of those houses and improve the structures, improve the look, and be a vital part of our community is just a wonderful thing.
Erlanger is probably one of the most business-friendly environments in all of Northern Kentucky.
Got it!
We thought, why not invest in those homes, provide money from the city to start your dream.
To encourage business development on and around Commonwealth Avenue, the City of Erlanger offers something known as a CAP grant. Eligible businesses in the residential to office conversion zone and mixed use zone can obtain a 50% reimbursement up to $40,000 for exterior and interior capital improvements in converting a residential property to an office or constructing a new office building. All told, it maxes out at a $20,000 investment from the city.
When people leave here, they come in, they just rave about this property, and I think we could have them up and down the Commonwealth corridor with some effort and some work from the city and some developers and realtors that could see the same vision that I have.
I see Commonwealth as a main street. So it is the main thoroughfare through our city, and it has the potential to become an economic driver. We've seen that with Bob McNichol's property and his financial business. We've seen that with Rose Gynecology. These are two exceptional examples of what the possibilities are for all of Commonwealth.
We believe in this district, we believe in you as an investor, and we really want to see that come to fruition.
the entire time that I've been involved in the city of Erlanger, I have always heard that our department is one that is revered. It is one that is held in high esteem.
We thought with our 75th anniversary being this year, what better time to, get all the officers out together, and we'll celebrate the 75th anniversary, and we'll also do our national night out and kind of, just be in the community and celebrate with everybody.
I think that's one of the most important things that we can do as public servants, and law enforcement is absolutely crucial, is interacting with your community on a regular basis so that when it is an emergency and it is one of the worst days of your life, you're seeing somebody that you're familiar with.
One of the things that we want to showcase is Erlanger Police Department is cutting edge in training. We're cutting edge in the equipment that we have.
But the canines are always the fan favorite. I mean, officers are great. Canines are like, whew.
The officers that we hire, just them personally, are great people.
There is a loyalty and a support system that are in place in the city of Erlanger that give the police officers the confidence that is necessary in order to go out and do their job the most effectively and compassionately as they possibly can.
We are very, very proud of our officers. Thanks everybody for coming out to our 75th anniversary.
All right, it's 7 o'clock. Let's go ahead and get started with the City Council Caucus meeting. First item up for discussion is Cahill Commons recap. Mark Collier is going to lead that discussion.
Thank you, Mayor. We had a great turnout. I saw a lot of familiar faces there and some unfamiliar faces. There's a lot of people to see the new park that we unveiled, I guess it was 2 Saturdays ago now. Had good weather. We did a little bit of marketing video that I think Mr. Glenn is going to tee up for us. I'm ready. He is ready, he says. So I'm going to show that now for the first time ever.
It's a beautiful day. It's an amazing turnout for an amazing woman who did a lot for the community. I'm very excited to be here and help dedicate this park in her memory.
1, 2, 3.
It was unbelievable. My kids absolutely loved her. We got up every single morning and went to go see Kathy. She had everything planned for us. She met us with a hug. She was amazing.
I think it's really cool to see all the people that she's impacted. I think she'd be really happy to see that. We all loved meeting her growing up and hanging out with her, so it's really cool to see all these people here.
The park program probably wouldn't be what it is today without her beginnings that she did with that. No budget, worked hard to make sure kids were entertained, make sure that parents had a break.
She always had ideas. I mean, she always had ideas, and I think I love Kathy for that, because she never backed down from anything. If she had a passion for it, she was going for it.
It is absolutely gorgeous what they did there. She had always planned on making swings there, and there are swings there. She always kept saying that she wanted swings, and there are swings there now.
I think my emphasis on the parks was initiated by Kathy Cahill. It was so important to her.
It's going to be amazing just for us to see her legacy honored. It'll be amazing just to see how many people are going to be there to just say, hey, we miss you, Kathy. Well-deserved, good work for what she's done. Family's very important to her, and these kids and these families became part of that family for her.
Applause. I love it. Tom did get a little bit of a preview of that video this afternoon. He says that he's all talked out at this point. So Tom, thank you for participating in that video. And I think it's a really great tribute to your mom and her memory. I guess, Mayor, that's all I have.
Yeah, thank you, everybody. Appreciate it.
Ms. Kyle?
I just want to say that every time I pass that park, I think of Kathy, because she was always surrounded by these kids at the little picnic table, because that's in my neighborhood. And also, a lot of people don't know this, she gave up her run for mayor, which I think she would have won easily, for being a parks director, because that's where her heart was. We said, Kathy, where's your heart? You want to be mayor? You want to do the parks? She wanted to do the parks. So I've always admired her for that. She really, she really did dedicate her life to that. Her whole family was always involved. And I'm sorry I missed the dedication, but my grandson had a game that day, and Grandma had better be there. So I appreciate everything the council has done, and the mayor and everybody involved in that project, because it really looks great. Thank you.
Thank you, Vicki. All right. Next item up for discussion is our budget amendment. Mr. Glenn.
Okay, thank you, Mayor. As we discussed at the last council meeting, we are going to propose 4 items for a budget amendment. Real quick, everybody got Kara's memo kind of outlining everything briefly, so to talk a little bit more in detail and have any discussions with you. The first item that we were looking at doing is administrative clerk change. So in August, we lost Naoka Johnson. She went to the city of Fort Wright, and in doing so, we evaluated her position, and we're looking to make a few changes. So we're taking her job responsibilities and sharing them with other staff, Sherry's other staff members, and then taking all the accounts receivable tasks that Sherry's staff takes care of currently and creating a new position that would be under the finance department as an accountant position. So there's no cutting of any staff there. It's just going to be a reallocation of some job duties and then the addition of a new finance accountant. And that, in order to make that happen, we are taking the existing salary that we're not filling and then adding to it with a request of $35,000, which will take care of all the salary and fringe benefits of the new position. Secondarily, I'll let Mark talk a little bit about the marketing side of things.
Thank you, Mr. Glenn. So this is a continuation on our marketing dollars that were allocated in the original budget. What we had positioned was this was sort of a new endeavor, non-staff position, contracted position that we wanted to take a wait-and-see approach. We funded it for 6 months. The council funded it for 6 months. We're asking for that continuation to occur for another 6 months. So we're going to ask for that same amount of allocation, which is $25,000. I feel like it's going really, really well so far. We've cranked out a lot of content that will be good in the moment, but evergreen content as well that helps talk about our city, helps brand our city, helps retain businesses, and we have some really good plans on that. So I think we're ahead of schedule right now in terms of what we thought would be the marketing output, and so that's what that request is for.
And I will say that Mark and his efforts have been truly exceptional. It's been a breath of fresh air around here, and everything he's doing has been awesome. On the capital side of things, so up first will be a police vehicle. So some time ago, they had an accident that totaled out one of the police cruisers, and in the time since, we have been fully reimbursed for that cruiser and all the damage and the cost, which was put into last year's budget. So it didn't carry forward into this year's budget. So the request is for a new cruiser and to be outfitted to the same degree in which the one that was totaled out was. And the cost will be equal to what we were reimbursed. And lastly is the Firehouse #1 feasibility study. So we've been meeting for quite some time with immersion consultants, the firehouse design experts. And what we're trying to do is figure out how, where we're at, where we need to go, and how to get this thing into more of a bidding schematic. So what they've done for us is through our discussions, we obviously need to go back to our 2020 master planning study and look at the needs assessment that we did. So that was a previous chief, and obviously 4 years ago and 4 years worth of inflation. So they're going to go back and look at that needs assessment, meet back with staff, and kind of go over what our new projections might be or any changes. They're going to look at from a mechanical, plumbing, electrical, HVAC standpoint, what things in that firehouse are, what condition each one's in, and which one would be feasible moving forward and retaining, and how would those mechanical systems tie into and provide enough service for what the new addition and different needs would be. So there's a lot to do with the mechanical systems and figuring out how they would tie into the bidding of a new project. So this feasibility study would do that evaluation. And in addition to that, there's going to be soil borings taken. So when we look at the site and then look at the Be Concerned site, so if we were to expand and utilize that property, Be Concerned, we want to take some soil borings to know going into the bidding process what kind of subgrade we have and any kind of conditions that we might be problematic. And then lastly, the study will do an environmental assessment, which is going into the existing firehouse and looking for any kind of asbestos and lead paint and doing a full inspection of that. So when we're done, what we'll have is we'll have bubble diagrams, not exact floor plan layouts by no means, but what we'll know is square footage of how much we need and where it's going to be basically laid out, and then a cost for that scenario. So they're going to produce 3 different layouts for us, at which time then we'll narrow it down and then provide a cost square footage costs for that, so that way we'll have good budget numbers moving forward. So with that, entertain any questions. Go ahead, Diana.
I just had a quick question. What is the timing on getting these layouts back?
Yeah, so we're going to be, of course, here in October doing a first reading on this budget, and then in November doing the second reading, and then they'll get started on it. So we'll have everything completed in more like the February, maybe April timeframe, early April, so that way we'll have everything completed and budget numbers for the upcoming budget process.
Thank you. I know it's all long overdue. The fire department does need some upgrades, definitely.
Yeah, definitely, for sure.
Just my question was, we did have a fire task force. Did we want to try to reopen that up? I know we're in an election year, but it might be something to look at, to have council, fire department, maybe even some other folks. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
Jennifer.
Oh, sorry.
I'm sorry.
I just got asked if I wanted to chair that. I said sure, but Mrs. Nicely was chairing that prior to me. So it was Gary. Gary, then Mrs. Nicely took that over.
So far, what's ahead of us will all be like an internal, I guess, study and look at, and then when we have something, then that we can present back, then we can do so.
Chief, you've had like an internal task force, like a committee formed for the firehouse in your department, right? Correct. That's what I thought.
Should I go ahead now?
Yes, go ahead, Jeff.
That's okay. How did we hear about this vendor? I know I looked at their website. It looks like they've done some firehouses, but they've done some other things as well. And I just wanted to know, how did we come across this vendor, and have we talked to other fire departments who have used them?
Yeah, I'll speak real quick, and then I'll turn it over to the chief. So basically, they were found through a, where did you go, to Arizona? I'll let the chief speak to it.
Yeah, so I met them at the firehouse conference. It was basically they're architects and design firms and everything that were there. And ended up sitting down and talking to these gentlemen, had no idea where they were from, had really good information, went over to their booth, and I was like, you guys are like right across the river from us. So that's how we got in contact with them. And then they were very helpful. Any of the questions I had, even before they knew where we were, they were, very open, very informative for us. And then when we found out how close they were, we kind of reached out to them. And they've they've had a couple meetings with us, and I think the relationship has been very good so far.
Yeah, and they've exceeded our expectations, I think, in the several meetings that we've had to date with them as far as their knowledge of the industry, and then, being receptive to and understanding what our position and our needs are currently, and how we can move forward. They seem to be, very impressive. All right, thank you.
All right. Last item up for discussion is the Alice Street beautification improvements. I know that Councilwoman Reckers is on here, but I know that Peter has a document that's already prepared that he'd like to discuss.
Can I speak first, though? Okay.
You don't want the information first?
She can speak, and then we'll see how that plays into the document.
Okie dokie.
Yeah, I'm going to explain to the public the genesis of the request to bring it to council. So, as many of you guys know, this Alice Street project has been a point of discussion this year, and we had agreed as a governing body to do the fence this year. As a recommendation from the beautification task force. There's a list of priorities that the beautification task force brings to council, because task forces don't spend money. So they bring it as a recommendation, and then we discuss it as a governing body. So when this issue arose, we asked the head of Public Works, we said, hey, if we were to pursue this and spend $5,000 on the fence, do you have the manpower? What does that look like? We wanted to take your staffing considerations into the discussion, because there are other priorities as well that would be deprioritized while you and your amazing team do this in-house as much as you can, and with other beautification efforts in the city. So we had agreed upon $5,000 as a voice vote, and when going through the monthly check register that I do every month, thank you, Ms. Kramer, for sending that to us for transparency efforts, I saw that we're spending $1,700 on trees, which prompted me to send a follow-up email for the full breakout. And I had also asked verbally for it back in August, and that information was not available yet. So what we received looked like it was in the neighborhood of $20,000, which it didn't look entirely accurate just at first glance, because I knew that the fencing was a multi-project purchase. Like, there were certain elements we had discussed here and there. So I had asked this to be brought to council because the numbers weren't aligning with what we had agreed upon. So I see that there's a further breakdown on this project, and I guess some things had been miscoded. But at the end of the day, this is in excess of $5,000. So that's why I wanted to talk about it, because I know that there has been, again, contention around this project from the beginning. And I want to know, because I'm getting calls from Sherborne residents as to what the timeline looks like for the Sherborne Park. I know that's a different task force, but there are some beautification elements that tie back to Sherborne as well. So I want to make sure that I can properly communicate to our constituents what the timeline looks like for these things that the task force has mentioned as priorities prior to this coming to light. So that's why I wanted to bring it forward to discuss. So thank you.
All right, so with that, I'll just go over the spreadsheet that everybody has a copy of. It's the City Beautification Alice Street Improvement Project. So as discussed in several of our city beautification task force meetings, we talked about what we're going to do, how we're going to do it, and the fencing and so forth. So, and you're right, what was sent out as part of your information that we sent out to you, it's a little bit misleading because a lot of things were kind of grouped together. So this kind of breaks it all out. So what I broke it out is all the efforts and improvements that we did that were city beautification related. First page. Second page would be all the things that would be more of a street maintenance type of item that, as you alluded to, was miscoded on there. So that kind of changes the amount that was charged against the city beautification budget line item. So I'm going to go through everything here real quick. Just feel free to jump in with questions as we go along. The first item is the fencing. It's the forward board horse fencing, and it was in the that information that went out. I think it was part of an invoice that was $5,300, and that fencing material was for Silver Lake and Kentlands Road. We're doing some fencing down there and here at Alice Street. So what I did is I figured up the footage of what the total amount of fencing we bought was versus the amount used on Alice Street, and we used 1/6 of the total materials for a cost of $900. The trees that we installed were 9 pink stellar dogwoods, and we did that too because the fencing is, our intent was to mimic what was done over at the 7 Mile Garden. So that way we have, again, this branding between horse fencing and trees and stuff like that. So that's where the idea was born from with the trees. The grading, I think, is one that was talked about very little. We did mention it in one of our city beautification task force meetings in June. So basically what we did is when our crews put a time frame of like July to get over there to put up the fencing. So we had a few months of time that I thought we could make good use of. So I instructed Kevin and his crew to go out and contact a couple different contractors just to see what the pricing would be for doing any kind of grading work on that hillside. Because by that time, everything that Duke had cut down had regenerated and started to grow back up. So you had, the hillside was, from what it was, it seemed like 50% of it had come back, and some of it was 3 to 4 feet tall already. So there's definitely a need there to get a handle on what was left to us. So so they did as instructed, and they reached out to many contractors, and several were not interested, and 2 did meet them on site. One price was nearly $16,000 to do the work, and then we found the contractor that could do the work for $6,000, and that price was so much less because he was using it just as filler work. So we had to be able to work with his schedule and to provide him enough time to kind of come and go and as he needed to use it as filler work. And another thing that he requested is he wanted to do a lot of the work from the top side of on the gravel driveway, which provided a lot of efficiency, reaching over the hillside, pulling everything up. As he ripped out all the stumps and doing stuff, it was just a lot more efficient to be pulling it up instead of pulling it down, causing everything to be pulled down and then have to be pushed back up. So anyway, there was some efficiency there. So being that the price was $6,000 and not $16,000, and he could get the work done and prior to our crews going over and doing the fencing work, and it would be work that would need to be done prior to any fencing put up, I thought it was a logical choice to get that work done. So I instructed them to move ahead with that at $6,000. The mulch we went on then, when the hillside was then final graded, we put pine needle mulch across the hillside to help stabilize that and cut down on all the weed growth that we're going to be fighting, from here to eternity. So that's why we utilize the pine needle mulch to help, to maybe lessen the amount of weeds growing up versus a regular mulch, in which we did put the regular mulch around the tree stumps or the tree trunks as well for the new trees, and we have a cost of $50 on that, and then $818 for some equipment that had to be rented. So the city beautification budget line item took a hit of $10,104. Then, in addition to that, under the street maintenance side of things, what we realized and was pointed out to us while we're on site is by the homeowners is that the sidewalk that lined this gravel street, gravel right-of-way, was original, probably dating back to pre-1930s, but it was in very poor condition, and it was actually rubbleized, and it was very much a trip hazard. So while we had the contractors sitting there literally with his track hose sitting on top of it, we asked him to go ahead and pull that sidewalk up and to eliminate the safety hazards there, and then to back drag with new gravel the right-of-way so that way our crews didn't have to come in and perform that work. So all that that originally was coded to the city beautification budget line item, it has since been corrected and put towards street maintenance, and that was $5,500. Let's see, you had another question, Rebecca. Can you remind me what that was? I'm sorry. Have I answered all the questions?
You did, I think, where, with regard to the prioritization of other projects.
Yeah.
Because that's what we're.
Yeah. Yeah, so, okay, so we knew going into this project, we were putting it ahead of other projects that we had budgeted for the city beautification line item and that our crews had on their schedule. So, so the fencing that we installed that we all thought was a good idea, it was no change. We wanted the fences in. So the additional time that our crews spent there would be probably not more than just putting the pine needle mulch on the hillside. And we did that in-house, correct? Yeah. Yes. Yeah. So we did that. So, and I don't know, that probably didn't cost us a whole lot more time. And then the rest of it was contracted work. And am I missing anything else our crews did?
The only thing that was contracted was the clearing of the hillside, the gravel, and I think that was it.
The sidewalk removal.
Oh, the sidewalk removal, yes. Yeah. As part of the gravel project.
Our crews only installed the fence, trees, and pine straw.
Yes.
And yeah, so and obviously it took a minute to do all that, and then once they kind of finished that, they've been working down at for Summer Sendoff, correct? They're doing the work down there, and then we'll be next on the list will be back to Sherborne to start that project. Am I correct in that assumption?
That is correct.
Okay. Yeah, go ahead.
So my only ask in the future is if there's going to be such a significant variance from what we were originally agreed upon. And again, typically the task force would report that information. There wasn't a meeting, and then we were asking for minutes, and there was just a lot of inaccurate information that was shared with us. And for me, I just would prefer the transparency moving forward. If a project is going to take such a shift where we've talked about it. I mean, we trust you guys to do what needs to be done within within each respective line item of the budget and what's talked about and projects and road work and all the other fun things. I think with this one being such a hot topic this year that we
And I see what you're saying. So, we do try to meet monthly to talk about both park projects, the city beautification projects, provide updates, kind of talk about what we're doing and to provide that transparency. But you're right, this is a hot button topic. And, in hindsight, looking back about, some people thought it was going to be a solid fence and then it ended up being a fence with trees in it. And, and things like that could be, in hindsight, I never thought to talk about it ahead of time. Believe me, I would have loved to talk about it because I love doing it, right? So, but I think it's a learning experience, so that way, on not every project, because not every project warrants, a super detailed approach to it, but we'll definitely be thoughtful about, making sure everybody knows on more high-risk type of projects. Yes, Jennifer.
Thank you. I'll just kind of echo some of what Ms. Recker said. I, had this particular project not been discussed so much at length, and so the money being spent on it scrutinized so much, I don't think we would have been so surprised when more was spent than what we originally thought. It looks beautiful. I'm not discounting that. I appreciate everything that was done. I realize that decisions have to be made on the spot, and I don't necessarily disagree with the decisions that were made. I just would request that, council be kept in the loop and the task force be kept in the loop. There were 2 months that the task force didn't meet in a row. It was 2 months before council, well, it was really just last week when council received the minutes from the June task force meeting. So, I read the minutes for all the task force meetings. I read the check register when it comes every month, and I have questions about those things, and I think that's my job. And so I think that we should, when we decided to have task forces, we said they need to meet regularly, and we need to get the minutes on a regular basis, and that should happen. So that's all, that's all I'm requesting. As I think this is a learning experience for all of us, and I hope that we can, move forward and do other beautification projects. I do have a question about how much is now remaining, and will we have to reprioritize some of the beautification projects?
As we talked about in this evening's City Beautification Task Force, is the last thing we want, not the last thing, I'm sorry, the next thing we would like to do is put a apron going into here so that way the gravel and the driveway doesn't get drug out into the public street. So that's something that the Public Works crew is going to contract or do in-house as time allows sometime in the future. So that's not anything that's planned or scheduled at this point in time. Now, the hillside is the only thing that's remaining to be done, and that is, it's in good shape. It can sit that way for the city beautification to prioritize what we want to do there and when we want to do it. So it's in good shape to for us to take back to that task force and to get the remaining work, whatever it may be, into the schedule with all the other projects that we want to accomplish.
Ms. Reckers?
So what is the total cost of the Alice Street project in aggregate? What is the projected cost for that?
Well, right now it's $15,604.
Including the apron?
That is not, we do not know anything. The apron is just something that I'd like to have done. I have not gone out and priced it or done any work. It's as you look at it, it's something the gravel's going to get drug out on the street. Right now we have several feet of asphalt that is original. There's a hydrant and 2 water valves that are sitting there. They're extremely uneven, unlevel, I should say. So as you enter into our right-of-way, it's very unlevel and unmaintenanced. So with time and money, it would be good to get that fixed and to provide a good buffer between the gravel and our street. Yeah.
Ballpark. $5,000? How much is it?
Less than.
Less than $5,000?
I'd say 3,000.
3,000.
Okay.
We both said 3 at the
So
same
we're
time.
under 20?
And on the packet that Peter handed out, it's actually page 3 that will show you kind of what Peter's talking about with that apron.
I am hesitant to say 3,000.
Are you
Can
hesitant
you
because
say
you don't
3
want to
to
have to come
5,
back
and
here?
if it comes in at 10, I'm okay? No, I'm kidding. I am joking. I'll tell you what we'll do. Here's what we'll do. As we move forward, we'll take a look at it, we'll bring it to the City Beautification Task Force, and we'll discuss it before we move forward with it, and with prices and everything. Yes, Vicki?
But maybe I misunderstood this. I thought the 5,500 came out of the street.
It did.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
And will the apron also come?
It
So it's
will.
not on our beautification?
It will
at all?
not, but it seems like the City Beautification wants to be aware of what's going on.
Okay.
That's why I think I bring it back there.
Okay.
Typically, we wouldn't bring an apron of any sort to a,
Right, right. And it's my understanding that gravel driveway that was there before, that was kind of like mud and gravel, I think.
Yes,
When I
ma'am.
walked that, I was told that that was part of the original street.
yes, it
And the
was.
city, when they did that overpass, that's what happened.
So
So
theoretically.
that's really old, and it's got a good base for
Yeah.
gravel.
So we probably saved thousands of dollars over the years of not doing any maintenance to it, so since 1930. So look at the money we saved. Yes, Rebecca.
So does the Beautification Task Force, for the remaining priorities of this year, have sufficient funds in their budget to complete those tasks? It's approximately, what, 20 grand? I'm not talking about,
The city beautification budget is only impacted by $10,000. So the remainder, I'm assuming we have 52 total?
Was budgeted.
Okay, so we have 42,000 left over. So then we'll go to the next project, and which is the butterfly garden?
The projects are Butterfly Garden, Depot, some of the sidewalk, not the whole sidewalk. The rest of the sidewalk's going to be done with sidewalk replacement and decorative poles. We still have a few more we still need to address. Yeah, so Arbor Day, there's 2,000 that's dedicated to the Urban Forest Commission of that 52, so, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Just one item to throw out there. If you have a task force, you are in charge of the minutes. Okay, so just keep that in your minds. If you are the chair, you are in charge of it. Yes.
I have no problem keeping the minutes. I just knew.
I didn't call you out. I just wanted to let everybody know, just a reminder.
I just wanted to clarify, we were under the assumption Public Works has been taking the minutes all along, so it wasn't my fault they did not get turned in between then. I just want to clarify for the public.
Yep. So from here on out, we're now making you very aware.
I did not take
Okay.
it for tonight, so we'll have to do it the following. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, to make it clear, because they were still covering it over the night.
Yeah.
Moving forward in October, we will be happy to. Thank you.
So does that mean that no staff members ever going to do the task force minutes?
The minutes, yeah.
Okay.
Which
so,
is the
so the
small business,
let me finish, please. Let me finish asking my question. Thank you. So does that mean that every council member who has a task force, the council member will do the minutes?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. All right. Are we ready to adjourn? All right. Ms. Wilson, Ms. Kyle, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? All right. Motion carried. Have a good evening.